I'm not bad. I'm just drawn that way. It's Romania Black, and these eyebrows are drawn on way too much tonight. But I'm Kaori, aka Brain Coon, aka Brain Coon Kaori. So this is my attempt to do Kaori. I really like that. I love Brain Coon's like little surgical stitches. I love how those turned out. I wish my hair had more of a swoop to it, and these eyebrows are wild. But we're on episode 4 already of Jujutsu Kaisen, and I'm glad we have a lot of episodes, hopefully, in this season, because we are just flying through them at this rate. But yeah, I'm so excited. I was going to go on a trip this weekend. I'd already planned to do Kaori. I was like, I'll do Kaori. It'll be all great and everything. And I was planning on going on a trip, so I felt like I was going to be rushed to record this last night. And I was like, oh, I'm just not feeling it, and I don't want to record it. And then there is a huge snowstorm about to come where I live. And I was like, so my trip was canceled, which is not a bad thing. I was like, okay, cool. That'll give me more time to sit down, record Jujutsu Kaisen, because this series demands your attention. And look, I rewatched the discussion from episode 3 like an hour ago before I started doing my makeup, and I was like, well, I've been reacquainted with the culling game rules. I spent an hour and a half on it last week. I will probably promptly forget half of them in the episodes to come. So what can we do? What can we do? I do have a lot of comments from you all from episodes 1 and 2, as well as episode 3, that I want to talk about before we get started, because you all are amazing and give me such wonderful comments each week to read, and I look forward to it all the time. So thank you. There are only a few spoilers, so those comments I didn't read, but the ones of you that didn't spoil me, kudos. You're amazing, and let's talk about some of them. So the Superior Muffin Man, which, by the way, Superior Muffin Man, iconic username, says, ever since the fight with Choso, every time I read this, I just laugh. Ever since the fight with Choso, he's now nicknamed Pillow Hands for dealing no damage with those hits. Don't you talk dirty about Choso. Choso is my main squeeze so far in this series, but Pillow Hands, no. I cannot. Maybe they're talking about Naoya. If they're talking about Naoya, Naoya is more than just pillow hands. He is face down on the pillow, waiting for, He's our F-boy. He's our Nepo baby Naoya, of course. XXX Kimball, XXX, for episodes 1 and 2, they had a little bit to talk about with Choso, as well as some of the past experiences. I want to talk about that. They said, I have to say, even though it's a tiny detail, and I full on agree with this, it gives me chills thinking about Riko Amane's dried blood still being down in the tomb, and having our current cast of characters just walk past it. No one in the past having the dignity to clean it. Now, we can't get mad at our current cast of characters. They don't know that blood is hers. But the fact that nobody has cleaned it up in 12 years is insane. Like, what Toji did that day was essentially staining the timeline. I love that symbolism. Influencing the events that would follow, which has led our characters down here. Absolute insanity. Yes, Gege is like, get ready. Absolute insanity it is. I'm like, as if this was not absolute insanity. I mean, just blah. Also, just a small correction. Naoya isn't the one focusing his power on his eye muscles, but rather Choso. Choso previously activated his ability, Flowing Red Scale, Stack, which basically means he's using his blood manipulation on himself to improve his physical capabilities. So what Naoya was noticing to himself in that moment was that Choso was getting better at keeping up with Naoya, because he was using his blood manipulation on his eyes to make his vision better. You can tell when Choso has... Okay, I'm so glad you said this, because I forgot about this from season 2. You can tell when Choso has his technique activated because his facial markings expand to cover his eyes and the arrows at the ends. I notice every now and then. I noticed in season 2, and I noticed in episode 2, but I would notice the arrows would change and get more evolved. It feels like a Digimon evolution. And I was like, why is that? There's a reason for that. It's his curse technique being activated. Thank you. Thank you for noting that. And then finally they said, the reason why the brothers are called death paintings is that their siblings are a reference to the Buddhist painting called Kusozu, which depicts the human body decaying in 9 stages. Hence the 9 siblings. That to me in itself, it's not a spoiler or anything, but that to me in itself shows me that Gege picked that particular number of cursed womb paintings because of the symbolism to the reference, which to me means that we may not see all of the brothers in action. We've seen Ketchizo, we have seen Eso, so Ketchizu and Eso, so they've been shown. Choso is there, we have Yuji, so we may or may not see the remaining brothers have any bearing, because it's not that they need to be used, they're literally just used for a reference. Because, and I say that because they said, this explains a few stylistic choices made by Gege in the creation of the death paintings. These are some basic ones I picked up on. The characters are named after the stages of decay they represent. For example, the kanji used in Choso's name refers to gas bulging the body. Choso is the most humanoid looking of the siblings because he's at the first stage of decay. So he's the eldest, first stage of decay. I instantly think of the movie Young Frankenstein when I see like the different skulls in order, the different bodies. Eso was shown as having a strong stench coming off his body. This isn't because they're all representative of decay, but because the second stage of decay is necrosis. Then the third stage depicts the body properly beginning to transform as fats and such dissolve, which is why Ketchizu doesn't look humanoid and leaks fluids from his orifices. I love the symbolism of that. I love what that represents. However, what that tells me is if Gege was keeping with the symbolism of the stages of decay, then unless one of the Death Womb paintings comes back as a skeleton that's already had everything stripped of it, and it's just bones, the bones, look at the bones, like something like that, or unless it was just like stringy and like just tissue and muscle mass, unless they were extremely kind of irregular and maybe deformed in their appearance, then I don't think the Death Womb paintings are going to be revived. That's my personal opinion based on this symbolism, because if Ketchizu is already at the stage where you're like dissolving and melting off the bone, then what would the other stages look like? I know they'd have a form, but this is just my theory. If I'm wrong and the Death Womb paintings, the other 6 brothers get revived, sure, cool. I'm excited to see what that looks like, but I don't think that they will be based on this comment. So we'll see. That's just my prediction. I've been wrong many times before, so won't stop in the future, I'm sure. As Mal for the win for episode 3 says, if you look at the plushies that appear in the ED, you can see the one-eyed cat that Gege's jump avatar added by the director. Love that. That also reminded me, I was going to talk about it in the reaction. I said I was going to talk about it in the discussion for episode 3, and then I forgot because it was an hour and a half long. But in the window that Yuji is in, the window in the ED is the same window that Gojo the cat, I believe, the cat that looks like Gojo was sitting in either the OP or ED in one of the previous seasons. So I feel like that's a continuity. I don't know what that symbolically means, but just know it's in the back of my mind that we've seen it before. And we'll see where it goes. I'm not watching the OP yet, so don't ask. But I can't watch the ED. Loic for episode 3 says that Kin, which is the guy that had the newspaper next to Takaba back in the last episode, is straight up based on a real Japanese comedian, Kendo Kobayashi. And he even voices him in this episode. Gege is a big fan of his comedy books, and here the reference for the character is pretty obvious. I'm glad you said that because I don't know anything about Japanese comedians, so I had no clue the reference. It was like whew, over my head. But I do kind of like the fact that the studio and Gege got the actual comedian to voice the character that is being referenced as him. It's kind of like a, hey, do we have permission to use your likeness? Oh, we'll give you a voice role if you let us use your likeness. That feels like what it is. So I'm kind of all about that. I think he's going to die. I think Kin's going to die in this episode. I could be wrong. Maybe we won't see him. I feel like I will be surprised if we don't see Takaba's storyline continue in this episode, but it's Gege, so who freaking knows? Be Happy over on the Discord. There were a couple of people trying to explain about Sukuna, and Be Happy is the moderator, and they were like, let me just explain what they're trying to explain without spoiling you. And I was like, that sounds amazing. And so they wanted to remind from previous episodes that Sukuna is indeed a cursed object, the fingers, that reincarnated as Yuji. Megumi stated it at the end of episode 1 of the series. And it's basically to quote Harry Potter, I don't like J.K. Rowling, but Harry Potter is in my zeitgeist growing up. It's basically a Voldemort situation. A sorcerer that split his soul to 20 cursed objects and revived the 1 in a million vessel that came from my beautiful body, consumed it. So yeah, what are the odds that the one vessel that just happened to be created around the time all the fingers were being gathered and well known, what are the odds? And the person that birthed Yuji perhaps was one that had been conspiring this entire scheme for thousands of years. What a coincidence. I can't imagine that anything was planned. How did it all work out? I think that's good to know. So yes, so Sukuna is not a cursed spirit necessarily. Somebody had commented that otherwise he would have died. He made a note of it back in season 2. I think it was episode 17. He's not a cursed spirit, but he is a cursed object that has been reincarnated through the fingers. I'm wondering if Angel is a cursed object that has been reincarnated through a vessel of her own. I guess we'll find out. I don't want to know for sure. We'll find out when the show decides to tell us. And then finally, Anime Annie says, for Brain-kun, with what we've seen so far, I consider them to be non-binary, especially as when speaking with Gojo after revealing their true form, they very rarely use any pronoun, and the only pronoun I picked up on them using was watashi, which is one of the more commonly used pronouns and is used by both men and women. Yeah, I feel like some people are pointing out that Tengen's voice actor, I think Truck pointed out in the Discord that Tengen has a female voice actor, which to me, at first I was like, Tengen is, I'm going to talk about Tengen and Brain-kun together in this. With Tengen, just because they have a female voice actor, to me doesn't necessarily denote their gender as such, because Yuta's voice actor is biologically a woman. So, and Yuta is not a woman. So to me, a lot of female voice actors voice male presenting characters. So I don't ever base it off of the voice actor necessarily. However, we talked about in the Discord that Tengen essentially might have originally been a male sorcerer, but has over time evolved into this just entity that is non-binary and doesn't claim a gender at all. It's just like whatever they assimilate as. And if they are the world right now, well, then they're all genders at once. Or none in that case. It's kind of like if you add all the colors together, you get just one, you get black usually. Anyway. And the same thing with Brain-kun, which is funny because we're pitting Brain-kun versus Tengen in the series, it seems. Brain-kun is also kind of non-binary because at this point they've inhabited the body of Kaori, they've inhabited the body of Geto. It's like they just don't claim any biological gender anymore. It's a great way for Gege to be progressive and just tell us that people who are trans have evolved beyond the spectrum of gender, and people who are non-binary have just evolved beyond the spectrum. Like, good for you all. I appreciate that. Mm-hmm. I'm here for it. Heck yes. Let's go. Let's get into this construct. But anyway, I thought that was good to know. Then they said, so Toji's to blame for everything, right? But all jokes aside, it's crazy that Toji's actions are what have inadvertently helped Kenjaku in his third attempt at this mass assimilation. Third time's a charm, right? Not just in his killing of Amanai, but also his use of the inverted spear of heaven to kill Gojo. The latter likely gave Gojo some trauma, just a wee bit, hence why he sealed or destroyed the weapon. But it also gave Geto trauma, just a wee bit, and sent him into a depressive spiral, which led to his departure from Jujutsu Society, and Gojo, and his eventual death. I just imagine that Brain-kun's been sitting here like, yes. Go ahead. What's going on? Like just with their KFC breakup bucket. It will always be in the wings, just so you all are aware. For when it is needed. When I watched the episode and then watched your reaction, my focus with YURI also went to not only the bottles of alcohol, but also the fire hazard with the ashtray that they present. Yeah, I didn't really talk about that last episode, but girl, not only is she mixing alcohol and cigarettes, which are two toxins, but they are extremely like an open flame and alcohol next to each other. I'm like, girl, do you have a death wish? Let's let this not be foreshadowing. Ichiji, you have one job. Ichiji, keep Shoko alive. We're gonna need her. I have a feeling in this series. And then they said, finally, I had a different reaction to you on hearing Tengen's estimate that the culling game would take 2 months. All I can think of is the mass damage, death, and destruction that was wrought in a matter of hours in Shibuya to make me absolutely terrified about what could happen over a larger time frame and a larger area. Look, Anime Annie, why are you making us think about these things? I was, in my little bubble being like, Shibuya? Who's thinking of Shibuya? That was ages ago. It was not. And yeah, that is a very good point. We were able to do a lot of damage and kill a lot of people within a few hours in one tiny location versus 10 colonies around the whole of Japan in 2 months. So yes, that's not good. If our dudes have got 10 days, a lot can happen in 10 days. That makes me nervous. Y'all know how nervous I am with this series right now because I know Gege, and Gege has proven time and time again that they are not afraid to be like, I'm just feeling like just messing with your heart and stomping on it today. So yeah. But anyway, I've talked for about 16 minutes. You all are amazing, just so you are aware. I am loving every comment. I am loving talking about this series with y'all. I get a special energy, like, reverberation through my being whenever a new episode of Jujutsu Kaisen comes on, and I absolutely adore it. So I'm ready to get into this and see what all we have looking forward to us with this episode. All right, we've explained the Care Bears mission. We are set to go, and we're going to see what all Gege has in store for us. But we are starting at 1 minute 28 seconds. I just opened up the video now, clicked skip intro, and we're at the part we've been at the last few episodes. But we are going to start episode 4 of Jujutsu Kaisen season 3, and we are going to do that here in 3, 2, 1, and let's begin. Gege, you do realize that Women's Month is in March. What? What? I'm sorry. No. I did not. Romania did not prepare for this episode. I was not prepared for this episode. You know what I saw and thought when I saw the perfect preparation and going into this episode? I was like, oh, perfect preparation. In my mind, I saw the title of the episode as I was getting ready to record the reaction. I don't usually do that. I try not to look at the titles, but I just happened to glance at it before we started. And when I thought of perfect preparation, I thought, oh, well, last episode was about the culling game, and last episode was just setting up the rules of the culling game. So perfect preparation. This episode will just be about the Care Bear group getting together and starting the initial phases of the plan. No. Gege's just like, oh, hey, that thing last week that you thought was going to be the last thing that would be taken on the list, oh, we're going to just go ahead and do it now. What? I'm not going to lie to you all. I thought that Maki's storyline with the Zen'in clan and Naoya and everything would be the last thing to happen. For reasons that we're going to talk about in this episode, I thought it was going to be the last thing we did. I thought we were going to set up all these other storylines way in advance. No, it's not. We're already done. It's already over. We just did. Is Naoya dead? Already? What? Who am I supposed to make fun of now? We just had a replacement for Mahito's energy. Where am I going to get that now? Naoya. We have so much to talk about in this episode. I was flabbergasted. But look, Romania Black is going to keep it with you 100% of the time. I'm going to note a couple things before we start this discussion, right? Do I have theories about Naoya? Yes, of course I do. We'll talk about them. However, as you can see, Whiteboard Kun is prepared to discuss about the info. This episode dropped a lot of information on us. Gege's entered his exposition phase. He's in his expo era. Gege is just like, giving you all the exposition right now. Gege has entered his exposition era. I'm here for it. As an English major, I'm all about it. I like reading. I'm great with it. But he's entered his exposition era. And I'm like, okay, work. Let's do that. So we've got info that we need to talk about. We're going to talk about questions that are remaining after this episode and during the episode. So we're going to do info in blue. Seems legit. We're going to do questions in purple. Seems legit. And then over here, we're going to do the critique. Now, I know what you're thinking. You're like, Romania, this episode was a 10 out of 10. What could you possibly critique? I have a few things now that it's like sinking in. I was like, oh my God, what did I just witness? I have some things that I'm like, Gege, there are mainly going to be questions. There are going to be more questions than critique, but there are a few things I was like, wow, we just done with that. So, give the man credit. He's just like, oh, you thought I was going to wait on that storyline? Let's just get it out of the way. I'm like flabbergasted, to be honest with you. Absolutely flabbergasted. I mean, I've got to cosplay as Maki now. Or Maki Mai. I'm gonna call her Maki, even though she's fusion hot with Mai, or she's basically become Nail and Piccolo. And no, Kami and Piccolo. Let's establish that. We're gonna get to that. I'm gonna be making some Dragon Ball Z comparisons because Gege clearly is referencing Dragon Ball Z in this episode. Let's not get it twisted. I have a few critiques. They are minor, but they are there, and they're gonna tie in with the questions where I'm like, Gege, what are we doing? So, and I'm gonna trust Gege Akutami. I'm going to trust that he knows what he's doing. He has everything in the wings. I'm just kind of sidelined. I feel like a semi-truck hit me. Not in a bad way, in a good way, but I'm also kind of like, where'd that semi come from? And why did it do this? And what? So I'm going to, again, like I've talked about in the last 2 weeks, I'm going to posit theories. You all that are manga readers are probably going, T. Also, speaking of manga, want to talk about that real quick. I need you all to understand that I am going to be reacting to the manga. I'm already reacting to the manga on my Patreon. For $1, you can go, shameless plug of the day, for $1, you can go read, I'm up to volume 10. You can go see my reactions for volumes 1 through 10 on Patreon. They're up. I've been doing them monthly. At some point in the next month, I'm going to be doing volume 11 and going from there. So, for those of you that are manga readers, because I have some things with the critique that I feel like are going to go here I feel like are going to be things the manga will address. So when we get to that, we'll get to that. But please know, if you are a manga reader watching this, I will be reacting to the manga. So anything that this episode cut out or changed or whatever, I'm going to see the manga version of it. So you will get to see me react to that, and we'll probably talk more in depth about those moments when we get to them. But that's just putting it on your radar, because sometimes when I watch things that are anime adaptation, the manga readers are like, well, the manga did this, and this was cut out of the manga, and this was handled in the manga differently. I'm going to see it, so don't worry. Your girl here will be able to see it. We're all going to be good there. But oh my God. I honestly thought that we were going to start with, I thought we were going to begin with setting everything up, and we had a game plan. I thought we were going to start the phases of that. Gege immediately just comes in with the Maki storyline, and that's immediately where we start at. Now, I don't know if the Maki storyline cuts immediately after that chapter or not. I don't know. It feels, we're gonna get some screenshots here so you all can follow along with me and see where I'm talking about, and we're gonna do that here in 3, 2, 1. I'm gonna talk about some likes, things that I really like, and I guess we're gonna put the likes. It's almost February. It's almost the month of love here. We're gonna put things that Romania really liked, and I'm putting it down the corner because what I liked, because I feel like this is going to take up a lot of room. One thing I liked was the bookend of the episode. The bookend of the episode is here. I like that we started out with this peaceful. It felt like out of freaking Bambi. It felt like a painting, an oil painting, where we started out with the bookend of the peaceful entering the arc of the Zen'in clan and then leaving the arc of the Zen'in clan. The bookends was really smart. I appreciated that. As someone that likes a nice full circle narrative, I appreciate that. That does lead me to a question, though. And this is just going to be a broad question because I feel like I'm going to be reiterating it through it. But I'm like, the manga exclusions. We're just going to put that in a question mark. Now, do I want you to tell me those manga exclusions? No. I'm going to be reacting to the manga. I will find those out at some point. But I am curious about it. I'm letting you know I'm curious because I do... The transition from ending one chapter with, okay, we're off to go start our Care Bears mission, to Maki destroying her entire clan is a little jarring. Is a little crazy. I'm not mad at it. I'm just kind of like, it just feels very crazy, you know? But Gege's like, whatevs, I do what I want. I did comment about this in season 1, which was something that came up frequently, and I talked about liking Gege doing this. Gege, I feel, especially in episode 1, doesn't create a manga for the sake of fitting into the frames of adaptation. And what that means is that Gege oftentimes, I feel like sometimes the anime cuts at weird places, unless Mappa makes it fit, which they might have done in this episode to just make it all fit conveniently. We're going to talk about that in the critiques later on. But I feel like the animation studio has to kind of adapt to make it all fit within a space, right? It reminds me of Natsume's Book of Friends. I love Natsume's Book of Friends. Tone of it is nothing like this series. But in that series, the mangaka worked with the studio to get to where certain chapters would fit within an episode. And you have to like cut things and change things, and that's fine. If it's a different medium. Some people are going to prefer the manga to the anime. Some are going to prefer the anime to the manga. I will say this. One thing I also like throughout this episode is just the quality of the animation. Did these animators sleep? I don't know. I hope they were compensated. I hope they were treated well. There were a few moments in this episode. It's not a critique. There are a few moments of this episode where the animation style was maybe when we get to the hay fight, there were some animation moments. I'm not personally a big fan of the rectangular block square style of, I've seen it in My Hero Academia a lot. I've seen it in this series, especially in Mappa animations. But that style of the little block square, it's a specific animator and his style. It's not my cup of tea. It's a little too plain and rudimentary for me, but I don't mind it. And I feel like it works well in battle scenes because it's so frenetic and chaotic and the energy is very frantic. So it works. But this, oh my God. This felt like a movie. This episode was 28 minutes long. Okay, this episode is 28 minutes long. Mappa, they got this episode extended to fit all of the Maki chapter content that they needed into one episode. This was a longer episode than usual. I was like, this episode feels longer than usual. We got a lot taken care of, and we did because it was literally longer. Okay, that makes a lot more sense. Yeah, this whole episode, it felt like a 24-minute movie that was just like an OVA. I would have watched this on the big screen. I would have gone to a theater and saw just this episode. They really, if Mappa and them want to make more money, touch up a few things, release this on the big screen so you can see it. Like, I want to see the patriarchy destroyed in IMAX. That's what I want to see. Just the notion of Dragonbone getting carried by Maki as she quietly walks towards her clan. Girl, I guess we should probably talk about not only one of the things I liked, but also a critique I have at the same time. I was like, this is Kill Bill. This is Kill Bill. Just so you are aware. I have seen Kill Bill parts 1 and part 2. This is a direct reference. Gege is making I feel like Gege tapped into Dragon Ball Z and Kill Bill for this episode, for these chapters. Those were the two main references. I feel like I can spoil Dragon Ball Z because it's been around for 40 years. It's like in the zeitgeist so much. If you've not watched Dragon Ball Z, I'm so sorry I'm spoiling this plot point to you, but you will probably not care. But at some point, it's around the Cell arc, between the Namek and the Cell arc. It's around the Cell arc, which would tie into around where I think this story is, because I know Jujutsu Kaisen's manga is over. I know it is. I'm also I have so many questions, but we're gonna get to them. But I feel like Gege is referencing the moment because in Dragon Ball Z, there's Kami, who is a Namekian, and Kami, or Katat, whatever, the son of Katat, he separates in the original Dragon Ball series and becomes Piccolo and Kami. They become two entities, but they were originally one. And then at some point in Dragon Ball Z, they have to, in order to become the one strong entity again, to possibly defeat their enemy, they have to fuse back together. And Kami chooses to fuse back with Piccolo. They choose to combine, and eventually Kami will fade into Piccolo's subconscious, and Piccolo's the dominant one. That is essentially what happens here, is that Mai, which we'll talk about Mai, I guess we'll start out here. R.I.P. Mai. Damn. R.I.P. Mai. Her ability was to take cursed energy and then manifest it and manifest into objects was her ability, which was handy. Was Mai super crazy strong? No. Did I honestly think, I'm sure some people probably would complain that Mai didn't have a lot of screen time at this point. But I'll be honest with you, I did not think Mai was going to be much use at this point in the series, because if Maki could beat Mai back in season 1, unless Maki did a crazy training arc, which we kind of set up from the very beginning that Mai didn't want to do a crazy training arc because she doesn't want to get stronger. She really hates the whole concept of everything going on around her. She just did it because of Maki and vice versa. I honestly did not have much expectation for Mai doing anything in the story. And if you're a Mai fan, I'm so sorry that I had no faith in her. Did I expect her to be the MVP of the whole damn series, though? No, because that's essentially what she is. She's a damn MVP. This story, without Mai, would not be happening. So it's crazy. So yeah, her whole thing is that she can manifest into objects, her cursed energy. And then she decides to become the MVP of the series. But I honestly did not expect Mai to have much of a role in this part of the series, because I was like, what is she going to do, right? So her getting absorbed back into Maki, and we'll talk about the twins thing and everything, that part I'm totally fine with. I'm like, no, that it took me a second to realize what they were doing, and then I was like, oh, okay, we're going to talk about it. But yeah, but this entire yellow screen, plot-wise, narrative-wise, this is directly referencing Dragon Ball Z, with Kami and Piccolo fusing back together to fight Cell. That's what this is referencing. It's a direct reference. It's pretty good. I love it. Aesthetically, what it is referencing is Kill Bill. So this whole screen with the Jujutsu Kaisen logo is a direct reference to Kill Bill. I live for it. I love it. The yellow. I was thrown off so much. He's like, well, look who it is. What an ugly face. That's beyond fixing, huh? And she's like, what are you going to do, Maki-chan? And then she says, you can actually tell women apart by their faces. I thought you only saw their asses. Which is such a line. I was so thrown off in this moment, because I'm like, oh my God, we're here. She's in front of Naoya right now. Right now is what we're experiencing. Oh my God. Was not expecting this. I would have lost all my money. I would have bet all my money being like, no, we're not going to see this plot line yet. I'm flabbergasted. My thing is, I love the way this is set up. I love the look of the side room. I love him and the piano. Naoya is such a freaking brat. I'm like, I'm just like, Naoya is such a... Also the fact that he recognizes people by their asses and not their faces, because he was talking about their boobs earlier on, Maki, so maybe he recognizes them by more than that, although he thought you and Mai were the same. You do not have the same bust size. He's just a piece of shit. And then him putting his foot, like, up on the piano. Naoya is so interesting, because he's this man who clearly takes pride in being and wanting to be the head of the Zen'in clan. He clearly takes pride in legacy, in family, in what it earns you. But at the same time, he also kind of spits on it, which is going to connect to him and Toji later on. And so here he is, like usually a piano is kind of like this instrument that's, very pricey. It's usually viewed as an heirloom. A lot of wealthy people have pianos, and that's like a sign of kind of elitism. I always view pianos as a little bit of elitism. If you've got a piano in your house, you got money, is how I view it. So him just to put his dirty, nasty foot on top of the piano is literally him kind of being like, yeah, I'm privileged and wealthy, but whatever. And I'm like, And then to say that to Maki, who has been through so much shit growing up, is really like kind of icing on his I don't care about you cake. And I'm just, they build up Naoya to be such a pain in the ass and such a misogynist little piece of shit that you are so happy when he gets the tar knocked out of him, and then literally gets stabbed in the back by feminism. So I was like, anyway. So yeah, this room is also really messy. I'm like, is this Naoya's room? Does he have the piano? And then I kind of want to see a thing of him playing the piano. Is that sad? She's like, I'm asking you, what are you going to do? Answer me, trash. You can't use sorcery. Just the fact that he calls her trash. Do I think that every member of the Zen'in clan deserved to die? They kind of were bitches to Maki and Mai just because they weren't powerful sorcerers and they were women. I'm like, yeah, they kind of deserved everything they got handed to them. We're going to talk about it. He's like, you can't use sorcery. You can't see cursed spirits. The looks you had going for you are ruined, and no one will pay attention to you now. Man, Maki's like, you are only reinforcing why I had a crush on Obara, and now may move on to Momo, so... No, Gege giving us doomed Yuri in the same episode as this is just wild. But yeah, no one will pay attention to you now. Now here's this shot here was interesting, where it shows him like leaning up against the window. What's interesting about the expression that Naoya gives in this frame, it's an expression of just like he calls her trash and he just looks like he really doesn't care about her. But there is a little bit of the look he gives that is a little bit like he's concerned. Like, why are you here? I feel like Naoya, in my mind, even though he definitely believed he was above Maki and she was beneath him, I do think there's an element of his nature that always kind of, because when we talk about Toji and her being compared to him, I feel like there was always an element where he was kind of intimidated by her, that she held her own and kept striving to be with the clan, even though she didn't have all of these strengths, and Naoya's like been blessed with all of these abilities and she didn't have anything. I feel like there's a part of him that was jealous of her and kind of like how her tenacity works. He's like, how sad. Shall I bully you like I used to? Now, here's the thing. The bully you like you used to, I wish we could have seen this. I'm going to be, like I said, excited to see the manga because I want to see how this looks in the manga. I'm imagining that he's just like punching her, like beating the shit out of her, right? There is a part of me that got a little bit like, did he like sexually abuse her? Because it's like from far away and it's like showing him like doing something and you can't quite see what's happening. There was a part of me that kind of got grossed out being like, did he like sexually assault her in the process? Like what? We don't really get confirmation of that. Maybe he was just beating her up. I don't know. It just, yeah, you see like a little bit like he's holding her. Was she also a kid when this happened? Because he's like Nanami's age. So he's like in his late 20s and she's like 16. So if he was like, 16 or 17 when she was like 7 or 8, what the heck was going on there? Like, that's crazy. Yeah, and it looks like him and Mai are there, like her and Mai. I want to see what happened in the manga. So, yeah, now he's just like, oh, are you clinging to the shadow of Yuta or Megumi-kun? Basically saying, like, I like that Naoya is establishing that Maki can't stand without clinging to the shadow of a man because this man's such a misogynist, he can't imagine a woman doing anything on her own. And I'm like, oh, bitch. It reminds me of, I'm watching the show Traitors, and there is a woman, her name is Natalie on that show, and she was on Survivor. That woman's biceps and muscles are insane. I wish I was as ripped as her. But there was a challenge where you had to lift up a cart, and you had to, like, pull it, and somebody had to be sitting on the cart. Like, you're basically being like a horse pulling a carriage that somebody's sitting on, like a human being. To me, that seems unimaginably difficult. And there was like groups where there was like 10 people pulling the cart that had one person sitting on it. You cut to one cart, there is an NFL football player on one side of the cart pushing, which, yeah, the guy's like 6'5", 250 pounds, can bench press 400 pounds. The other side of it is just her. She and him, this NFL player, are pushing this cart with a person on it. It is insane. And I love women that are like that getting portrayals in media and in literature, because there's such a view that women are weak, or that we are the argument's always, well, women are biologically weaker than men. I'm sorry. Women like Natalie from Survivor and like Maki, they're stronger than some men biologically. And I'm like, no. Like, let's beat those stereotypes. Like, I'm not beating that stereotype. That's for damn sure. But I love that Maki is, right? But Naoya is establishing that she can't do anything without clinging to a man. And he's like, what are you going to do? And then she just kind of walks away. I love that she just looks at him like, this is the last time I'm looking at you. Any last words? And all he does is trash talk her. And she's like, okay. It almost felt like Maki was coming there to be like, do you have anything to say before I kill you all? Anything at all? anything at all. It almost even feels like, and I don't know what Huckleberry is wanting to do, it almost feels like as well that she was coming to try to be courteous and maybe say, hey, I'm here to get the stuff out of the vaults. You know, Megumi's technically the clan leader, so he gave me permission. And she was going to start in and maybe have that conversation. And then he was a total sack of shit to her. And she was like, never mind. I'm just gonna go ahead and go to the vaults. We're not even gonna have a conversation because I can see that's going nowhere. Oh my gosh. And he's like, but then when he says, Maki, come back. That's what you gotta do. Naoya is a bully, and Naoya is trying to get Maki to engage with him so he can cause something and stir up shit. But she's just like, I'm not even gonna give you my time. And then, if you'll notice, usually people that are like that are total jerks like that, once you start ignoring them, they're like, well, no, wait, come back. I'm like, no. Like, come back. And then we get the mom saying, have you forgotten? We're not allowed entry in the Forbidden Vault. This part is interesting because the mom knew that Mai and the dad were down there. So the mom had accepted that Mai was probably going to be killed and that Maki, upon confronting her father, would be killed too, and was okay with it. I mean, in the end, the mom, we're going to talk about her and Naoya later on, but I feel like Maki was, you know, she basically told the mom, she's like, nah, I'm going down there. And she's like, the clan head said that I could. And then we see she has the key to the vault. And we cut back to this scene with Megumi finding out he's the head of the Zen'in clan. And how incredulous he is. He's like, the head of the Zen'in clan? Me? Okay, I want to talk about this scene. Also, again, y'all, why is this happening? Why is Maki and Megumi in between aisles 6 and 7? Why is that happening? Gege, Gege created the 6-7 meme. Why are you doing this? I feel like if this isn't in the manga like this, then Map is trolling all of us by making it a 6-7 reference. I'm so over it. I'm so done with it. I talked about it last week. I'm so done. I wanted to talk about this scene though, because what this place looks like is literally like the betting places. I don't think it is, but it looks reminiscent of the betting places where Toji and the one like organization guy would meet up at. It looks so similar to that, right? The vibe is there too. And she's like, it's in his will. I told y'all, Megumi wants none of the Zen'in clan. He's like, no, I don't want to be head. No, that's too much of a hassle. No, thank you. I don't want to have to deal with it. You just do it. And she's like, I'm sorry, but please accept it. Now, Beto said he wouldn't trust all the Zen'in clan's assets to you. Both the money and the cursed tools. If you'll become head of the clan, you'd be able to get info on the big 3 families and the headquarters too. So Maki is saying, like, look, I know Megumi, you don't want to be clan leader. Understand that. Can totally see why that is. But she's like, Megumi, and we'll put that on here. She's like, Megumi, if you are clan leader, you get all the money. You get all the assets. And this part is going to come into play with Jinichi later on. She's like, you also get info on the 3 clans and their headquarters. And the Gojo clan was brought up in this, which feels very important. So we're going to talk about that too. But Megumi's like, I don't know. He's like, I don't really want to do any of this. He's like, this is not for me. It'll make a huge difference with what we can do from here on. I totally am in agreement with Maki where she's like, Megumi, just say yes, be the head of the clan. Naoya will have to back off and then we can get whatever we want to and they can't do anything about it. She's like, this will be really, really helpful. And he's like, well, then you do it, Maki. You do it. See, this part here, like everything about Maki in this moment, she feels like Toji. The sweatpants, the hoodie, the way that she holds her arm up, like her demeanor, her attitude, everything reads Toji. All of it. It's kind of wild. I mean, I know they're cousins and genetics and all, but Megumi is more like Gojo, which is his adopted dad. So it's so cool to see how it looks. She's like, no one would accept me right now and they wouldn't follow me. Well, doesn't matter. She kills all of them. So there's that. The fact that you possess this part I really liked because Megumi's like, she's pointing out reasons why Megumi should be the clan. She's like, you have the hereditary You have the hereditary technique, you know, like the 6 eyes for the Gojo clan and Limitless. You have the hereditary technique that everybody was wanting. And he's like, And she's like, the fact that you can activate your domain. She's like, you have activating your domain. Everything. Is it not beautiful poetry that everything Toji wanted and was denied and was cursed by his own clan, his biological son has? That is just beautiful poetry. And he's like, And then she's like, also the attention you receive from Gojo. And I love it. His hair kind of becomes like Gojo. So he's like, you also got Gojo's attention. So you've gotten all that too. Like, you got attention from one of the other big clans. You've got recognized. And he's like, And then it creates a hand that barely wins you that acceptance. He's like, their acceptance? He's like, does it even matter what they think? Well, yeah, kind of, in a way, because of how influential they are, which Megumi would not know about because he's not been involved with any of that. He's like, you get all those benefits if you became the head, wouldn't you? So just do it instead. And her saying, it can't be me yet. She looks like Toji there. She looks so much like Toji there. It's so wild. So wild. I wouldn't be able to create a place for Mai. Well, you don't have to worry about that now. I feel like the one thing holding her back from being the head of the clan is gone now. Now she doesn't have to worry about creating a space for Mai. Now she can just be the head of the clan. It's fine. Here's the thing. There is no clan now. They're all gone. So I guess that all worked out. But maybe not. We'll talk about it. And so Megumi doesn't know what... I feel like Megumi, out of respect, he doesn't know what to say in that moment. But also he's kind of thinking, well, I get kind of what you mean because Sumiki, I couldn't just be clan member. They would have nothing to do with my sisters. So I get what you're talking about. And he's like, all right. And then the mom says, come back here. To be fair, the mom saying that she hated Maki and that she cursed having her and wanted to know if she was ever going to live up to, you know, being born from her. I feel like she felt that, but I also feel like some of it was a lie because she was trying to keep Maki from going into the vaults where her husband and her other daughter was. So I feel like maybe Maki realized afterwards that the mom was trying to keep her away and was trying to maybe help her, but she's like, why must you always be like this? Yep. And so the mom, just once, make me happy I gave birth to you, Maki. I think, and then at the end she does say that. She's like, you know, I think that at the end the mom, after Maki destroys the clan, the mom was like, okay, all right. This is so wild. Okay, so meanwhile, while Maki's going to the vault, some of the animation in this episode is so gorgeous. Even these little bitty moments, like the vault opening up, all the talismans erased, and then her walking in, and then seeing, her dad. Now, when she opened up the thing and saw her father, I was not expecting Mai to be there at all. I was expecting maybe I thought when she saw her dad there, I thought that Jinichi and Naoya had like killed her dad and like they were already picking off members of the Zen'in clan because Naoya killing Maki and Mai's father would not have surprised me because Naoya was told he'd have to have permission to get the assets from the brothers and he was really agitated by that. He's like, I don't want to have to do that. So it don't matter now. So we get this scene with the chair, the empty chair. Like you should have said something if you were planning this from the get-go. I like Naoya's foot constantly moving like he's just annoyed. He just hates it. You just jumped the gun. It's true Megumi would be better than you. Man, at first I was like, okay, Jinichi is acknowledging that Megumi would be a better leader than Naoya because that's his grandson. Also the fact that Megumi is Jinichi's grandson and he's like, we'll just kill him. The Zen'in clan are just a bunch of bitches. I don't blame Toji for leaving. I also don't blame Toji for having the attitude that he did. If he grew up around people like this that were just willing to kill each other just because they were threats, insane. And then he's like, what? there are more than a few voices pushing for him as an opportunity to repair relations with the Gojo clan. So yeah, it's also weird to hear them call them the Gojo clan, because when we think of Gojo, I think of Gojo as that's his first name, but it's Satoru. So I always forget that there's Amy Gojo and Jeff Gojo and Satori Gojo. There's Yuki Gojo. There's a bunch of Gojos running around. I just imagine a bunch of doll-eyed, creepy white-haired people running around, and that's the Gojo clan. I imagine they all have white hair. Maybe they don't. Maybe we'll find out. The fact that they're talking about the Gojo clan means maybe we'll meet Gojo's family and what they're like. They seem elusive. Like the Kamo clan, they're like one of the top 3, I think. Aren't the Kamo clan one of the 3 big families? They're kind of, we've heard a lot about them. They got a lot of drama going on. The Zen'in clan are just nothing but drama. And the Gojo clan we don't hear a lot of. They seem more like we're low key. We're upper class, you're not hearing about us. But anyway, so Megumi is being thought of as a way to reach the Gojo clan, because he's kind of like the adopted son of the Gojo clan. Gojo wasn't having any kids, so Megumi's kind of like the adopted son of that clan. Though there's no way we could accept Megumi Fushiguro being entrusted with all the assets. It's so wild to me that the clan members who were like, all they wanted was a clan member who had the abilities like Megumi, now he's here in front of you, but that's not good enough. The fact that Toji left and gave him a different name and he wasn't raised in your walls, you were immediately going to toss him out. I felt like a lot of this episode was this patriarchal system that's full of so many just BS elements. Maki just came through with machete and said, nope, no more. It's the progressive way now. Progressivism's going to come through all this tradition that's stupid and hack it all away. And that's literally what she did. Yeah. So like, why are you dilly-dallying? He's like, because in addition to the Gojo clan, Megumi has built an effective relationship with the next head of the Kamo clan, Noritoshi Kamo. So Megumi has, without realizing it, friends in high places. Megumi has not only, like, the Gojo clan's like, oh, he seems cool because Gojo adopted him, but also Noritoshi Kamo, I feel for him being the next head of the Kamo clan and all the drama surrounding him and his mom. So I like that they're not shippers of Megumi and Noritoshi. I'm not either. But I like that they're like an effective relationship, which is, in Megumi's eyes, just, we kind of became like acquaintances. Like, we're friends. We're not even friends. We know each other and have talked, and we seem to get along. We fought a tree spirit together. That's about it. And then he says if we eliminated him without cause, it would put our Zen'in clan in a worse position. With Satoru sealed and the power balance between the clans shifting, we would fall behind. And so now he's like, well then fine, why now? He's like, haven't you read the notices from headquarters? We'll say, Jinichi's big giant kimono with the big flower on it. I love that. Would love to have that. And so we have Satoru Gojo has been deemed an accomplice in the Shibuya incident and has been expelled from the society. Any attempt to free him from his seal will be deemed a crime. So the Zen'in clan were like, hey, since Megumi is working on doing whatever, he's probably a criminal. So let's just do that. We'll make use of it. We'll execute. They're just like, we'll just execute our cousins. No big deal. Very, very royal family-like. And as traitors for plotting to release Gojo. And they're like, well, they're like, Ogi killing his own daughters would add believability. So basically they were like, look, we want to get rid of Megumi. This basically was like a mafia meeting, and the big chair that's empty is Ogi's chair, and he's out in the vaults about to attack Maki. So now he's like, oh yeah, cool. This mafia mob meeting between the family. It felt like The Godfather too, if we're going to go with that reference, where they're like, yeah, we'll just kill Maki and Mai. They're no use to us. They're not powerful. And it'll add believability that, oh no, mysteriously Megumi and the 2 daughters of Ogi died. Guess it's just us now in charge of the clan. Insane. With that, the trust in the headquarters will grow firmer. Well, ain't gonna grow firmer now. And so they're like, is Ogi okay with that? And then Jinichi said he came up with the plan himself. The moment you realize that this man came up with the plan to kill his 2 children and his nephew, or his like great nephew, it's like, yeah, they're not really great people. None of them are. The Zen'in clan's kind of the worst. The worst. There are no cursed tools here, Maki. We emptied them out. So that is important to know. The only cursed tool that we have that Maki manages to get is the sword that was Toji's, which I'm guessing Mai created it in that moment, perhaps. I'm guessing. I'm not gonna put that under questions, but I guess that's what happened. And Dragon Bone. And we have Dragon Bone. Dragon Bone is the other one. Yep. So we got that. Man, that worm is like, you mean we could have done this all along? So I guess one of my questions are, if the vaults were empty, where are the tools? Are they all in that atelier of whatever his face is? Where are the tools? I guess we'll find that out. That feels like Gege. That feels like Gege giving all this an out. Like, yeah, Maki got powered up and is OP now, but the tools that you kind of maybe needed, they are no longer here, and we don't know where they are. And I'm like, oh, where did you put the tools at? And none of them are alive to tell her where they put the tools at. That seems a problem. The fact that these people were willing to kill their own children is so crazy to me. And I love the symbolism of the door shutting, and Maki's like, okay. Like, Maki was just ready to throw down. Yep. Okay, so Kamiya's masterpiece, the cursed tool Dragon Bone. Okay, so she already went to the atelier where Kamiya was, where Juzo was. Okay, so she got that from him. I would make note, every time he did a secret art or a spell or a curse technique Ogi did, they were all defensive. They were all to defend himself. They were not to protect Mai. They were not attacking. They were all defensive spells, which to me is a little cowardly. He was already afraid of his own daughter. He was afraid she was going to kill him. What a coward. Why? And he's like, why was the previous head of the clan my older brother instead of me? That was a weird thing for him to say, because I'm like, I don't know. I feel like with most patriarchies, it's like the eldest gets to be in charge. I feel like that was always the thing. Like Naobito being the eldest of the 3 brothers, it makes sense you'd make the eldest the one in charge. And then if something happens to him, then it would go down to the next one. I mean, if he had said, why was my eldest brother's son's Naoya put in charge instead of me, then I think that sentence would have made more sense. But instead of just, she's like, because you're an asshole who would murder his own children, I'm like spitting truth bombs, Maki. But instead he says it's because of his children. I loved that scene. Like, girl trying to fight him, and then he ends up like cutting her up with it. He says, why was I passed over for clan head? The sword shattering, but the spirit, the cursed energy still radiating through it is such a cool effect. Even though he's such an asshole and I hate him, that's such a cool move. It's like, and he kind of chides her. He's like, how did you think you were going to beat me? You know I have cursed energy. You can't see it, but it's there. He's like, how did you think you were going to do anything against me? He's like, it was his blade. You broke my blade and judged my reach had been shortened. And so you closed in. That's why you're hopeless. You were trying to gauge me by the standards of such a failure. I'm not a swordsman. I'm a sorcerer. It's absolutely ridiculous. I'll say it as many times as I must. My older brother's technique had a shallow history. He's like, my technique is basically better, and its potential to be inherited or not wasn't a point of contention. So basically they were just like, what he's saying there is he's like, Naobito's technique is not the greatest, which to me translates as Naoya's technique is not the greatest, even though Naoya is quite convinced that he is because he just thinks he's better than everyone else. But he's like, because my kids were a failure, the quality of my children. I'm just like, you had 2 beautiful daughters and you're such an asshole. You're like, he had it coming. Children must never drag their parents down. That mentality is so wild. So wild. 1, you chose to have these children. 2, you should devote your life to your children, not the other way around. Like, it was like every word that came out of anybody from the Zen'in clan's mouth was just giving ammunition to Maki to be like, okay, justified, 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 justified for everything she was about to do. Like, they were the worst people, just the worst people. And then he's like, yep, he's like, you're dragging each other down is considered a, and I like that Maki's like, isn't dragging each other down considered a virtue in this country? Because, yeah, there's, like, a stigma in society in Japan. And, damn. One thing I love that this entire, and this goes along with the quality of animation, one thing that looks so amazing in this, and it's very Kill Bill, it gives me Frank Miller vibes, is the color spotting, where everything is muted, and the blood in this episode, the blood was this, like, bright, gory, it almost felt like Day of the Dead, like, just... it was almost like sickly. The blood was so bright red, it was sickly. And I'm surprised that Mappa and them got away with it. I was like, all right, just as gory as we were, especially the Kill Bill scene. So when they got knocked into this room they said was used for training and punishment, and he said there were all the level 2 cursed spirits here, I was under the assumption that for a hot second, I'm like, are we getting a training arc? Because I'm like, Maki's not going to die. Which, I don't know. Gege at this point, Gege is just like, oh, I just don't feel the need to use you in the story anymore. Bye. I'm like, oh. So, I was wrestling in my mind. I'm like, is Gege about to kill off Maki and Mai together? If Maki dies, we need those tools, which begs the question, that is going to be, is this going to be Maki's mission now? Is this going to be Maki's mission, or has the mission changed? That's my question. Because Maki's original mission was to go get the tools out of the vault. The vault and the tools are now empty. We don't know where they went. So has the mission changed? What is Maki's mission now? What is she going to do now that she's OP? Is she gonna go fight Brain Coon by herself? She could, apparently. Maybe not. But girl's pretty tough. I don't know. We're gonna talk about it. But I thought maybe I was like, are they gonna have a training arc? Like, are we gonna get? I thought when he left them there, saying there's countless grade 2 spirits. They're frightened by me now, but soon enough they'll crawl out and devour you two. Here's the thing that all y'all making mistakes in this series, if you've got a character with potential, you gotta do a Gojo. You gotta just fire a hole through him. You can't just leave him to die. You can't do that. Brain Coon's proven them wrong. Gojo's proven them wrong. Yuji's proven them wrong. You just gotta decapitate or blow a hole through them, because otherwise they're going to keep living. And so we're going to talk about that with Naoya later, but I'm like, what? He couldn't. And honestly, it ties to his character that the dad couldn't finish them off because he's such a coward and he's such a low person that he didn't even have the balls to kill him off. He just was like, oh, I'll let the cursed spirits eat you. Coward. If you're going to go through with it and like give your children a mortal wound, finish them off, asshole. And these like enhanced physical prowess, what of it? We sorcerers train every day to strengthen our bodies with cursed energy in combat. You can see Mai like crawling towards her. And he's like, Maki, the power you possess is something every single one of us has. Oh, that just hurts. He's just like, what makes you special? I could see now why Toji would have been miserable there. Because those, like, his uncles would have just constantly reminded him of how useless he was. I could see why Toji would hate being there. We're going to talk about him. So then Maki and Mai reunite, and Mai gets close to her. I feel like Mai, I'm just saying, I think Mai looks a little bit different. I think that from season 1 to now, Mai looks a little bit different in Mappa's style. I don't know why. She just seems that way. There was a moment here. We might as well talk about Maki and Mai. So yeah, this is Dragon Ball Z. This is Kami and Piccolo. This is them reuniting. I like the lore. I do like the callback about the twins. I'd forgotten about the lore with the twins from season 1, where jujutsu sorcerers, when they have twins, I remember them talking about it, that twins are considered a curse. They are considered to be the separation, especially identical twins, because Maki and Mai are identical twins. Meaning, I liked the callback and how Gege made the physics of this work, because they weren't fraternal twins. Let's get that correct. The idea of twins, especially identical twins, because what it is identical twins being two bodies, but one soul. 2 girls, 1 cup. Just bleh. But 2 bodies, 1 soul. Split up together. So basically, we're going to do a little biology lesson real quick. When you have fraternal twins, that is when 2 different eggs get inseminated separately in the same womb. That's fraternal twins. They're 2 entirely different beings, 2 different fetuses, 2 different embryos, everything, that were both inseminated by the sperm at the same time. They both stuck there, fraternal twins, Identical twins are when you had 1 embryo that splits into 2. It's 1 embryo that's the same. Now, somebody in the comments is gonna tell me that I'm not saying it correctly, and they're gonna correct me, and that's fine. But it is that it was 1 being split into 2 at the development process. That's identical twins, because they have literally the same genetic makeup. It just bloop, split into 2. I like that Gege takes something like that and applies it to Jujutsu Kaisen, being like, and you know what? I like it because I don't feel like it's an ass pull to do this with Maki and Mai. I think it's kind of genius that you established in season 1, way back when, that these 2 twins in the Jujutsu world were 1 being separated, and how it ties into both of their feelings as sisters, where Mai didn't want Maki to pursue this, but Maki was for Mai. It ties it all together. I think it all symbolically works. And it also makes it to where you kind of understand, like, it makes Maki gaining Mai back, fusing back with her. It makes it make sense, I guess. The only part that was kind of confusing is Mai, like, giving herself back to Maki, like, giving her soul back to her. I mean, sorcerers can do crazy things, so I'm not saying it's out of the realm of possibility. It was a little interesting, but I will also say that the part here where she, like, has her head in her lap and then she does this moment, this part here where she's contemplating, like, fusing back with her, this entire scene here, I don't know if you've watched Dragon Ball Z Abridged, but all I could think of is when Nail, who is another Namekian that also fuses with Piccolo, that's a whole different story, him and Kami are both like, okay, now put your hand upon me. Now lower. 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 And Piccolo just gets more and more uncomfortable. I kept thinking back to that joke, but also, is there a little bit of some twincest in this scene? Yeah. Yeah, there is. There's a little bit of twincest. The whole touching here, and then with Mai saying, you certainly are tough. I figured it would come to this one day. And Mai's like, okay. This whole, like, kissing scene, also for the record, her and Mai and Maki, I do not think they have the same bust size, so Naoya is not correct. But this scene here, look, I know Japan fandoms, they're into the twin thing. It's a cultural thing. I ain't dogging nobody's culture. I'm not a fan of it personally, not my cup of tea. Do I ship Maki and Mai? Well, no, but that's feels like what this is indicative of, especially as it was, like, moving towards the breath of life. It was literally Emperor's New Groove, where you just have to give me the little kiss of life. But literally, I do like the ocean, the rushing of, like, in the water, the rushing of in, like, it felt. And then we have the 2, yes, the embryo that is the 2 beings inside the same embryo. Yes, absolutely, where they are connected. I'm a big fan of that. I like the symbolism. Also, I love the beach scene. I love the beach scene here because it gave me vibes reminiscent of Toji on their beach scene, where they were going crazy and, like, in the domain fighting the cursed spirit and was going haywire when he was brought back to life. That's what this felt like. I felt like it was a nice callback. Also, like River Styx, you get the sticks on the beach. It also felt like going out to sea, like the geese migrating south, the ocean waves. It felt like I'm going out to sea. It felt like the elves crossing into Greyhelm. It just had this vibe of moving on to the next life. I love it. And I just love Mai saying I can't create anything large or complicated. But I can, I'm wounded where he cut me as well. This is probably going to kill me doing this. I love also the duality of you have Mai they're both in the like sleeveless, high cut, but Maki's in the suit with the pants and Mai's in the dress. It's this like duality of femininity and masculinity and all combining together. I live for it. Maki's such a badass. I want to cosplay as Maki so bad. She just looks amazing. And yeah, and then we see them together with the umbilical cords like wrapped around together. She's like, why twins are considered inauspicious by jujutsu sorcerers. You have to offer something in order to gain anything. Meaning that she's like, I have to offer myself. This goes beyond just packs. The fact that we go through pain to grow stronger follows the same logic. That balance never functions properly in the case of twins like us, because jujutsu views identical twins as the same individual. Yep. You are me and I am you. You can no longer grow stronger and work so hard that you spit up blood, but it's all pointless. Because I don't want to grow stronger at all. I liked that. It was a great time because Mai didn't want to get stronger and Maki only wanted to get stronger. So she's like, well, you can't get stronger unless I come back to you. And I don't want to get stronger anymore, so why not? Even if you don't have any techniques, it's pointless if I have one. You'll always be incomplete. And this I'll leave you with. She leaves her with, she's like, I'll take all the cursed energy and everything else with me. Yep. So it was like Toji. She's like, and just, she basically leaves her being like, I'm going to take all the cursed energy. I'm going to take that with me. And now you're going to be complete and you'll be like Toji. Because you have a similar technique. I don't know what the point of the wheat or the flour is. Unless it's a flower that they shared when they were kids. I don't remember from season 1 or the manga. It's been a while since the first couple of volumes with Mai and Maki were introduced. I don't know if that is significant. I don't remember that. I'm sure somebody could probably point it out. Unless it's a spoiler for something later on, we'll find it out. And she's like, destroy it all. That moment where she's like, burn it all down. She's like, I'm going to give you everything you need. Screw them. Kill them all. And then, like Cersei Lannister, Maki chose violence. She chose a lot of violence. I freaking love this scene. It's so good. The symbolism of it, I love it. The wheat, and she wakes up, and from the wheat, that's when I don't know if the wheat is supposed to represent the sword that she gained back. Maybe. But she has the sword in her hand. So that's her generating the sword, I guess, as she's giving the rest of herself back to Maki. I also love the idea of them being like, they kind of reminisce their forms as fetuses, but the yin and yang that they both face together, they create this yin and yang of the two of them. I'm all fine with it. I love it. I'm like, how else would Maki have gotten stronger otherwise? Also, that looks so beautiful. Maki's so pretty. Screw you, Naoya. You have no idea, Naoya. But yeah. And her poor sister, Mai. R.I.P. Mai. Damn it. Her eye, I'm like, did Maki's eye get better? I think we'll find out here in a second. And then all these cursed spirits, and she just killed all of them. And the fact that the dad here's the thing that sucks. The dad he would have been able to tell when this cursed spirits killed his kids. What a coward. What a piece of shit. I am not mad that he gets his head completely cut in two. Brain Coon style. And that's when he recognizes from the door, I worked so hard to forget that fear. Yep. He recognized Toji. Yeah, blazing courage. F you. Come on. Yep, yeah. That sword with Toji. Mm-hmm. You know what? I was like, oh, Megumi should just get jacked up and be kind of like Toji. No, Maki's doing that for him. He's totally fine now. He don't have to do that. And he's like, very well, this time I'll burn you down to the marrow of your bones with my own hands. Like, yeah, you just said you were going to kill your daughter, so I don't feel bad for you, sir. Nope. Not one bit. Come at me. Yeah, and he was going to call her a failure. Not bye. Mm-mm. Nope. Not a thing. I live for it. Toji be proud. Wow. I'll get started. And then we just went to Kill Bill mode. It was great. It was awesome. I hope she carries around Toji's sword for like the rest of the time. But is that the inverted spear of heaven? Is it? Inverted spear of heaven. I don't want to know too much. No, it is not. Nope. It's just Toji's sword. Never mind. Nope. Okay, we're good. I just want to see the design of it. It is not the spear of heaven. It's just Toji's sword. Perfect preparation. Naoya did not prep. Naoya's biggest mistake as a bottom was not prepping. It's gonna hurt if you don't. Is Naoya really dead? Is he really? There was a line at the very end that I was like, oh, Gege, you are leaving it open to the possibility of Naoya not being dead. You are leaving it open to the possibility of Naoya not being dead. Also, we're going to talk about that, but I was like, I just got excited about making, I don't know if you've seen this on the internet. How could you not have seen this on the internet? But there is, Naoya's like him pushing back the hair as he's like fighting I guess it's with his hand, where he's like fighting Choso and he's like doing this with his hair. That has been such a meme on the internet with every show, every franchise, everything. I'm like, on the one hand, if Naoya was only here for like 2 episodes and he left his mark and left his nasty ass stain on everything, good for him. What an icon. But I'm like, I had so much that I wanted, and we're going to get to, when we get to the critiques, I'm going to put it up here, but I was like, what? I can't believe there's a possibility he's dead already. That's so insane. Now, the rest of the clan, oh, no. They all were like, bye. And then now he's like, oh, I can't believe Jinichi. What's going on, my dude? So we got this guy. He didn't last long. Like, what is with all the pompadours right now? Pompadours are coming out everywhere. He's like, as your captain, I'll be the one Jinichi acts smug towards. Were all these people just getting it on with each other? Sir, for real? So, Kukuru, unit captain Nobuyaki Zen'in. And he's like, oh, don't kill her. I'll finish her off myself. He's like, are you even listening? So they talk about the young men of the Zen'in clan who don't possess techniques are obligated to join the unit. So a lot of like personal bodyguards in the family. They're drilled into them day and night so they can serve under the hay. So we find out that the hay, give me Yu Yu Hakusho vibes, are like the top of the Zen'in clan. And Naoya was one of them, along with Jinichi, right? And this other guy, who definitely looked like a Yu Yu Hakusho character, 100%. But they also established that Maki was a member of this group as well. He's like, what are you going to do? She's like, I wondered what I wanted to do. And they're like, okay, 2 unidentified curse tools. Unidentified curse tools. Well, the one was Dragon Bone that she got from Juzo's workshop. But Toji's sword, they don't know what that is. Maki was also a member until she joined the high school. She's like, why wouldn't you stay at the bottom with me? Yeah, she's like, sorry. Maki's like, I'm not a bottom bitch. Maki's like, I'm a top, if anything. And Yuda's like, I'm fine with that. Yuda's good with dealing with look. Back in volume 0, I did not ship Yuda with Maki. I was very much like Rika and Yuda forever. Monster fuckers for life. I was like, nah. But you know, I feel like Yuda's up for anything. Yuda, threesome with the cursed spirit, Maki, totally down for it. I feel like Maki would be like, I'm not really into that. And Rika would be like, Rika would have the most problem with it. But if you told me there was like an Omegaverse alternate universe, let's be real. If there was no Omegaverse alternate universe, do you think Yuda's the alpha? No. Maki sure damn as hell is. So I just, yeah. I feel like Yuta defies all stereotypes, though. So anyway, we're not going to have a discussion of that right now. Comment down below. We'll discuss there. She's like, you were right. This scene was so badass. I freaking loved this. Everything about this scene, everything artistically about this scene is amazing. The Kill Bill scene of the year. This was so good. I loved every second of this. The shot of the floor, the way that it was purple, the guys all surrounding her. I'm sure this would have been the right choice for us. And then their hands making the heart together. So freaking good. And she's like, I'm sorry, sister. Yeah. And then, oh, look at the two of them in that one little moment where they're holding the hands and it shoots like the shot of their faces. Yeah. Of Mai and Mai. Of Maki and Mai. Oh, damn. Yeah. She's like, I'm sorry. This whole scene, she's like, just promise me one thing. And she looks so much like Toji there. Like, seriously. Toji with boobs. And a different personality. Yep, but she's so ripped. God, destroy it all. I feel like the MAPPA animators just took Toji and they're like, okay, now transfer that. Make it a woman. And make her even more badass. So, this whole scene was amazing. I could watch this over and over again. Maki, aka Maki, destroys the patriarchy. And just, that shot there. What's going to be the thumbnail? Let me go back to it. That will likely be the thumbnail. That is such a shot. That's Toji. That is Toji. Girl channeling her cousin, 1000%. That was so badass. Oh, I feel bad because I wanted Naoya to be on the thumbnail for one of the episodes. But if he's dead, how can I not show Maki? Well, you know what? It almost would be better if he's not on the thumbnail. That'd be the ultimate, like, screw you move to that little misogynist man. Yeah. This is so good. She just looks so amazing here. This dual wielding girl, give me all the Star Wars Sith vibes, dual wielding Darth Maul wishes. That was a Toji move, everything. Like, she just ballroom blitzed her way through this entire lineup. Look, my one thing, if I'm going to give a critique, it's a micro critique, but in the tiniest little preview of critique, is that the solo battles in a group. I'm just gonna say it, Gege. I'm just gonna say it. And I know maybe it doesn't come across that way, but I was like, if y'all just ganged up on her at once, it kind of felt like, again, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, 1993, where the Foot Clan fights like one at a time with her. And I'm like, if y'all just charged her at once, you probably could have done something. But then again, my one thing is, God, that went right through his head. This was such a gory scene. My thing is, if they'd all attacked her at once, I could see them accidentally hurting each other. So they were trying to just do it one-on-one so they didn't accidentally like attack each other in this moment. But that was a mistake. That was a poor choice, because this woman and her guns of steel just completely annihilated them all. Like, oh, there's another shot there. That's such a good shot. Look at that. The color spotting with everything turning gray. Everything turning gray and the blood being muted. And then at the very end when she gets done, it's like, boop, and everything comes back to all color. So good. Peak cinema. So good. I freaking love it. But yeah. And these guys immediately realize the mistake that they've made and how their 401k is not worth this. But yeah, the shot where that shot too, damn, that could be a great thumbnail as well. Maki looks so badass. I wish I had those guns. Yeah, when the guy threw the stars there and she literally grabbed them with her finger and laced them around. Mappa. Oh my God. That, like, just fly through the air, girl. Fly through the air, girl. Like, that's just such a good move. I also, imagining, if you're Maki, one other reason why, because I could see people in this episode, one thing we're going to talk about is the idea of Maki just being OP as hell. I mean, here's the thing. Toji was OP as hell. Nobody had a problem with that. Nobody had a problem with Toji being OP as hell. If this was Toji doing this, everybody'd be like, And I'm sure everybody's doing this for Maki as well, as we should. But I do love that without being said, it's a double-edged sword. There's a double-edged sword. And I don't want to get into the critiques yet because I want to save that for just one chunk. But I do like that without having to be said, you can tell based on how Naoya talked to her, how her father talked to her, how her uncle was talking about her. You get the idea of how mistreated she has been in the Zen'in clan. It's been hinted at for a while now. Season 1 hinted at it a lot. And when Naobito was around, he was, surprisingly, Naobito, for all intents and purposes, was kind of tame compared to these guys. Naobito was just a jerk, but he was tamer than these guys that were just like, yeah, just kill her off, I guess, right now. At least Naobito worked with her, which is crazy. But after you see the way that every person in the Zen'in clan has treated her except for Mai, you get it. You get why she'd have all this pent-up hatred towards her clan, and you would understand that she's spent 16 to 17 years of her life not being able to do anything about it, being powerless and trying to work her way up bit by bit by bit. And through her sister, her only friend, her twin sister, sacrificing herself, it allowed her to gain the ability to finally be able to do what she's wanted to do for nearly 18 years of her life. I mean, it's ultimate like wish fulfillment, like revenge porn. Here's how we're going to do it. Kill Bill style. But damn, it was so good. She just, like, the animation here was really great. And there was this one shot, I want to try to get to it here, where she just, like, the blood spattering through. They're just so good! Yeah. But yeah, a lot like Toji. I imagine that they used a lot of Toji animation to go over this and make it Maki, but I'm not complaining. Yeah. And then she even just, like, pushed him back, did all that. Like, where's that one shot? I want to get to, like, the very end, where she gets rid of all of them. They all fall down, and then boom, back to it. And then this asshole comes out, and he's like, so did you guys get the job done? Oh, actually, no. The whole place is just a sea of blood. A sea of blood. And that is it. Okay, so then the one guy, who is this guy? This guy over here, she's like, she went for the jackpot. That guy's falls. Then we cut to this guy. Who the fudge Chojuro? We barely got him. Yeah. So Chojuro shows up and she's like, okay. She realizes what's happening. And he makes this giant Bleach-style shonen ass hand rise up. Very Hanami-esque. So, okay. Okay. I do want to talk a little bit about a couple critiques. A few minor ones. And they're going to be sprinkled throughout at this point, but I want to kind of preface them here. The ballroom scene with Kill Bill and everything, no, that all made sense. It made sense in the context of the story. It made sense her motivations. That's been pretty clear throughout this whole thing. It also makes sense because she trained with these guys. She trained that unit. She could fight them. All that. That all works. I will say, I have 3 aspects of critique that I'm kind of like, okay, we'll talk briefly about it. One is that with I want to put them together, but I'm going to have to separate them. With Maki, the fact that we are already to this point, I again was saying that I was expecting this to happen much later in the series, in the season. We have so many episodes left. What are we going to do for those episodes? We're already this, and we did it in 1 episode. Don't we have like 20 episodes left to go? What are we doing for 20 episodes when we got rid of this entire storyline in 1 episode? That's crazy to me. That's insane. I'm so flabbergasted by that. I don't know what we're doing then. But I was honestly expecting more of a build-up to this part with Maki because I thought for sure we were going to get more Naoya. I thought that Naoya was going to have another encounter with Yuji and Megumi and Yuta, or all three or one of them at least, and was going to have more interaction with them. And then in the process, he was going to give us more information about Maki and the Zen'in clan and whatever, especially for Megumi. I thought Naoya and Megumi were going to have a confrontation. I imagined Naoya and Megumi having a confrontation because Naoya hates Megumi. But there's this, especially with what we find out. I've got a theory about Naoya, especially with what we find out, but we're going to see. We're going to wait. We're going to wait with that. But I just expected Maki's storyline to come later in the season. And I'm kind of torn about this. I feel two ways about it. In my mind, part of me, there's a little sliver of me that would have liked Maki to have had an episode or a couple scenes throughout the series, this season particularly, where we build up and get reminders about her and Mai's relationship. We get reminders of like all the bad stuff that the Zen'in clan has done. We get reminders maybe of did she know these characters? Did she know the members of the Hei clan? I feel like she did, obviously, because she's part of the Zen'in clan. But what was her relationship with them? What was that like? What did she like? What were her interactions with them like? Based on what we've seen so far, they probably weren't good. They're probably really shitty. And maybe Gege just didn't want to show us any of that. And he was like, well, do you want to see her getting tortured? Okay, I guess. But maybe he was just saving us from seeing all of that. But I do there's one part of me that wishes we'd had a little more buildup of Maki's relationship with the Zen'in clan, so that when she decided to go kill Bill and kill them all, it felt a little more justified. However, there's that part of me that, is an English major, and I love character development and character interactions, and that's just me being greedy and wanting the character work. But then there's another part of me that does like the fact that Gege treats us like adults. And he's treating us like an audience that doesn't need to have our hand held, and we don't have to know every single little detail about her interaction with her family. From what we've seen in this episode, we can kind of guess what that interaction was going to be like. We can kind of guess what that was like. And Gege's like, rather than giving you a bunch of torture porn, let's just cut straight to the part where she kills them all. And I kind of respect that. So it's a kind of critique, but it's not really a critique because I'm like, I get why Gege does that. And a part of me kind of respects it because honestly, to be fair, and again, I know I keep drawing Berserk spoiler references in this series, more Berserk spoilers. One of my critiques of Berserk in general is how the female characters, now granted, Shirk and Farnsei and all them, they're great characters and they have great arcs in that series. However, Miura had a tendency, R.I.P. Miura, rest in peace, sir, but he had a tendency with female characters to draw highly violent, like sexual violence against them. And then their comeuppance and chance of redemption, does it match what happened to them and kind of like redeem from that? I would argue there are times where it doesn't. And you're kind of like, wow, that was a lot of grisly things that happened to these female characters that I don't know if their powerful comeuppance moments really makes up for what you put them through and made us, the audience, watch. And it felt a little bit like torture porn. Just a little bit. But that is to say, in the Berserk spoilers, I feel like Gege kind of does the opposite of that, where he's like, I'm not going to show you what Naoya did to Maki. You don't need to see that. From what you just saw at the beginning of this episode, I think you have every bit of information that you need to know about what her life was like in this clan. So instead of showing you all that went wrong and she had to deal with, I'm instead going to just cut to the point where she's now getting revenge on them. And I respect it. I don't mind it. But, however, that's leading to this scene here where we have Chojuro making this hand thing and all this blood. God, there's so much blood in this episode. She's literally just bathing in it. It's like a tomato soup bath at this point. And this is my thing. My critique is that we just sped run through these characters that you could have spent 3 episodes on these characters. But again, Gege's like, no. Gege's like, I don't feel it. My other critique is that we sped run through the Hei. We sped run through the hay. Like, it makes sense to do the ballroom scene and everybody dying in this big, grotesque, like, gruesome fashion. Like, it makes sense because they're just a bunch of NPCs and they don't really matter in the grand scheme of things and they don't even have names. And it's just to show how much Maki has grown. But once we get to this part here, I was honestly kind of surprised how quickly Maki goes through them. I thought we would at least spend like the rest of the episode just with this one guy where he's like, oh, the hay are here. And they are composed of those whose abilities are recognized as semi-grade 1 or higher by Jujutsu High standards. So, yeah, so we get this guy. Let's look at him. He's Jujutsu Kaisen Yuta. We're going to call him Yusuke. Like him. He looks like if Haibara and Megumi had a baby, which is the craziest concept to me. He has like Haibara's eyes and eyebrows and Megumi's like somewhat of his hair. I'm so baffled. They're Zen'in clan's collection of strongest sorcerers. It just feels like Ichigo, if this were Bleach, we would have spent 3 episodes on each one of these. If this were a shonen from the 90s or a shonen from the early 2000s, we would have spent at least half a season for each one of these characters. And maybe that's the joke. Maybe it's Gege being like, hey, remember how in old shonen we would have spent so much time with each of these guys and it wouldn't have mattered because Maki would have beaten each one of them anyway? This ain't your mama's shonen. Let's just get it done with. Let's just not waste your time. And I'm like, okay. I mean, I'm a character person, but okay. So yeah, Chojuro, we get his name. And then Jinichi. I do like Jinichi. I will say this. I will consider this second half. Yeah, Jinichi there. Damn. I will consider the second half of this episode to literally, because yeah, we're literally at the 18-minute mark. We have 10 minutes left. Crazy. We do all of this in less than 10 minutes. What? I will consider this the biggest manga bait of anything. And I could see manga readers being like, well, they don't rush through the manga. I was like, I don't want to know how many chapters this is. I don't want to know. I will be reading the manga soon enough later this year, and I will get to see all of this in its glory, and it's going to be so amazing. I'm so excited. But yeah, he's like, there's all the sorcerers, and she just, God, I love that. I love that it's just her one eye. This woman did all of this with one eye. Can we just have her face Sukuna now? I mean, I guess Sukuna would beat her. Let's be real. But can we just have her face Brain Coon? Let's have her find Brain Coon right now and just kill him and get it over with. Let's just do that. Please and thank you. But yeah, this is the part of the animation style that I was not crazy about. It's just not my cup of tea. The whole, like, it's very inverted and there's a little geometric pieces of rock and it's all like, it just doesn't, it is a style. It is a choice. It kind of forgoes the background and kind of makes its own thing. It's just not my cup of tea. I don't think it's bad. It's just not my cup of tea. And it just feels like, I don't want to say lazy because it's not, it took a while to animate this, I'm sure. But it just is not the style that I go for. Yeah. I mean, it has movement, kinetic energy. I can see why some people would love this. How is she still moving after Chojuro-san's attack? Well, Gege has determined she has protagonist abilities at this moment. Yes. Yeah. Yeah. And then again, it very much this, I felt partially like watching My Hero Academia, one of the later seasons, but then these shots with the movement, it's so good. And then she just grabbed his throat and ripped out his vocal cords. She literally grabbed the patriarchy by the throat and freaking ripped it out. Mother trucker. That's insane. That's insane. And then just stabbed him. Yeah. That was it. That took 30 seconds. That's my one critique. My one critique is she just sped run through all these guys. Granted, Gege's like, they were all fodder. You all know that. You know she would have beat them anyway. Did I need to waste time? And maybe not, but it just happened so quickly that I do feel like at times I had no ability to catch up. And I was like, oh shit, I have no chance to catch up to this. Okay, crazy. Is she really the same Maki? There was a part during this scene right here where I wondered if she like was getting this bloodlust like Toji and just going on a rampage, which we established that good sorcerers, they're crazy. Gojo, Toji, they're all crazy. So, I mean, there was a part of me that wondered if she had that bloodlust, but then at the very end when Momo came back, I was like, no, she's fine. Momo was there and she wasn't harming Momo, so we're good. She's not in zombie Toji mode. We're all good. But no, it is not the same Maki. She has Mai inside of her. This part here, I am assuming it's just part of their... Yeah, what is she pulling out? Was she pulling out an eyeball? What was happening? That part here, I was like, she's just... Yeah, she gets Chojuro. Is she grabbing him by the throat? And then he was using his ability like an eyeball. I'm like, is he allowed? Is his... That was the thing. We don't even get to learn their abilities. It's going so fast. So is she just taking... He had the giant hands, and now he has the giant eyes. Can he, like, just increase his, like, different body parts abilities? Again, we'll probably find this out in the manga. Probably. I'm sure there's an afterword where Gege explains all of this in great detail, and he was like, hey, since I didn't have time to explain this because Maki killed them so fast, here's all the information you need to know. That seems like something Gege would do. But yeah, this type of art style, again, it's that style there. It's just not my favorite, but it's still good. Oh, it's all right. But yeah, literally, the Dick Tower is taken down. The tower looks like a penis. It is destroyed. The patriarchy is crumbling. The Zen'in patriarchy is done, apparently. Wild times. Yeah, these eyes too. And she's like, yeah, about that. Oh, okay, no, so he has the eyes. Okay. So this guy had the eyes, because Chojuro gets taken out too. I was like, I hate seeing yeah, those were his eyes. Okay, so that was his technique. I hate seeing eyeballs. Like, there's a scene in Game of Thrones in season 4 that makes me want to gag, and I didn't know it was coming, and it involves somebody's eyes getting crushed out. Ugh, hate that scene. I thought his eyes were gonna like burst from his sockets, and I was like, I'm not ready to see that. No. Glad we didn't have to deal with that. Oh my god. Also, what's him and Jinichi's story? Was Jinichi, were they having a side ship? I didn't even have time to make crack ships. I didn't have time to ship before the ships were already destroyed. It was like I had the blueprints and Maki came by with gasoline and a match and was like, no time to build ships. They're already dead. Gege. Oh, Ranta. So we had the one guy whose name started with an N. He was KO'd instantly. We had Ranta, Jinichi, and then we had Chojuro. They all did. Not a problem. Apparently not a problem. Well, Megumi, I just imagine Megumi's like, so are you in charge of the clan now? She's like, well, define clan. There's not really a clan left. And then her just being like, that is such, like, just Toji made over. Yep. And as she was like, also, man, just, how about that? All the animation there. This feels like a JoJo's reference. I've not even watched JoJo's. This feels like a JoJo's reference of like the two. I think one of them's the character named Dio. I think that's right. And then they're like walking towards each other. I haven't even watched JoJo's yet. I'm going to eventually. But yeah, girl. Here's my other thing with this. With her speed running through, this is kind of my issue with that, with the whole speed running. It's not necessarily because I think the idea that Gege just took the fodder characters and was like, we're not even wasting our time, just get rid of them. I kind of think that's genius. I kind of think it's hilarious, and just Gege being Gege and trolling us all. I find that funny. From a narrative perspective, one thing that I kind of am like, but Gege at the same time is Maki's not had cursed energy or anything like this. How is she able to, what is she even doing here is like a question. And I know some people in the comments know, and I'm sure the manga may explain, but I'm like, and I'm going to wait for those moments. But as an anime only person watching, you could maybe understand why I would be confused, being like, well, she doesn't really have cursed energy. Mai said she wasn't getting that. She's like Toji. So what is this? And I'm sure the manga will explain, but like, how is she fighting against him when she has no cursed energy? And there's a part of me that loves this scene where he's like, I can't keep holding her. There's a part of me that really loves this scene because I think Jinichi's Toji's dad, right? Jinichi is Toji's father. And there is a part of me that kind of wishes we would have gotten a little bit with Toji and his dad, because there's an aspect of me, I feel like Jinichi is the dad. Isn't Jinichi Toji's dad? I feel like he is. There is a part of me that really wanted to know, like, what was the deal? There's a part of me that sees, like, him sensing that Maki's going to kill them all, of him being like, well, if my son could have done it, and she's like my son. There's a part of me that wants to know more about their dynamic, and we don't get access to that. But then again, I'm like, is Jinichi? I don't think this is Toji's dad. I don't know. Wouldn't he be older? You know. But she pushes through it. I don't know how she pushes through it. It's like, forget about me, Jinichi-san. Yeah, his eyes like cracking there. The current Zen'in clan only exists thanks to the whim of Toji-san. I'm like, Ranta, were you like getting all up in this man's behind about all this? I mean, to be fair, not wrong, but damn, sucking up at the last minute. Yeah, I thought his eyes were going to burst out of his sockets. I'm like, I don't want to see that. No. Oh, Jesus, that's so gross. You must have realized it. Yeah, his eyes cracking there. Maki is now the same as that man. See, I normally, again, applauding Gege for choosing this path, but when you have Toji's dad literally in front of you, I'm like, I wanted so much about that family, about all of that. I wanted to know more. Needed to know more. Now, if this is not Toji's dad, I'm like, is Jinichi Toji's dad? Look, is it scary? Is it a spoiler if I just look it up? Is he Toji's dad or brother? Is he his dad's brother? I just want to know. Oh, he's a brother. He's the brother of Toji. Is this correct? He is older brother of Toji. That's all I wanted to see. Sorry, now we're good. Sorry. I swear I didn't look at anything else. I just wanted to be like, is Jinichi Toji's dad or brother? He's his brother. Okay. But I feel like Toji and Jinichi, there seemed to be some kind of bond there, because when Naoya mentioned him in the episode that he was introduced, like, Jinichi had a visible reaction. So, okay. So now Bito and Toji and Ogi and Jinichi were all brothers. Okay. So that does make Megumi, Naoya, Maki, Mai first cousins. Okay. Family tree is solved. Family tree is solved. We're all good. Jinichi, be happy my moderator's going to kill me. She's going to be like, you looked up what? And I'm going to be like, I just needed to clarify that Jinichi was not his dad, because I questioned it because Jinichi doesn't look old enough to be Toji's dad. So I just wanted clarification. So yeah, Jinichi is Toji's brother. I feel like of all of them, I don't think Ogi wanted to talk at all about Toji at all, because Ogi was all about family bonds, and like, if you don't have cursed energy, you're not good enough. So he definitely hated Toji. And now Bito hated Toji, because Naoya, but interestingly enough, Naoya, who's Toji's nephew, seems to have actually kind of looked up to him, which we're going to talk about here in a second. And I think Jinichi secretly looked up to Toji too. And Ranta is acknowledging that Toji really was the foundation of the clan, could have been the clan leader if he, had cursed energy. And now Maki is the same as Jinichi's brother. And he's like, do it here and now and kill her. Well, yeah, that didn't go over well. Not at all. And she's like, yeah, about that. She's like, all my family's out to kill me. I do. And then there's this big giant nuclear explosion in that style that I'm not crazy about. And yeah, so Ranta's like, oh, good. Glad everything worked out with Jinichi. And I'm like, actually not really. No. And he dies as she walks by holding Jinichi's head. Dear God. And then she just punts it out into the water like yoink. Just walked by with it for effect. Then Naoya sees her. So Naoya's like, oh, have you no heart? The head of the hay. Naoya Zen'in. So yeah, Naoya being Toji's nephew. Okay, now we've all clarified it. Yep, glad we got that family tree sorted out. I swear, here though, Naoya does not look as much like Megumi. He does look a lot like Toji in this shot, but not so much like Megumi. If you had told me that this episode is also when we're getting Maki versus Naoya, I would have thought you were crazy. I would have thought you were crazy. So, but here we are. And he's just like, well, and Maki's like, oh yeah. And he's like, have you no heart? And she said, no, she took it with her. So Maki's basically saying like, no, I don't have a heart. Mai had my heart and now she's dead. Thanks to you all. So Maki just has no time. She says basically Mai was her heart and soul and her kindness, and now she's gone. I feel like if Toji's loss of his wife could have been personified, this is what that would have been like. Same boat, same deal. So yeah. He's like, everyone says I'm a genius. I'm going to be the head of the clan after my father. I will say it sucks that Naoya is such a little turd, because as a kid he was actually really adorable. Everybody says I'm a prodigy. I'm going to be the head of the clan head after my dad. It's interesting because that's an interesting claim, because Naoya was talking about how his older brothers were all kind of garbage. So maybe the older brothers, since they didn't have curse techniques from the start, were kind of ruled out. And Naoya, I guess, kind of had the Megumi, what Megumi's treatment would have been was Naoya's. Because Megumi has the hereditary technique that is what everybody wants in the Zen'in clan. Naoya had a similar technique as Naobito, so everybody was just like... And Jinichi apparently didn't have any children, because I thought Toji was his kid. He's not. Jinichi didn't have any children. Ogi's daughters were not eligible. Naoya's brothers didn't have the technique. So up until Toji had Megumi, Naoya was the only one. So this scene here, though, you would add so much layers and in contrast here. He's like, I heard there's a loser in the Zen'in clan. And we show like the scene of Toji's foot. They say the man ain't got a smidgen of cursed energy. We got a preview into Toji's OnlyFans for the short while that it was available. He hasn't a smidgen of cursed energy. As he's like meandering, and we get that shot of Naoya's eye, his like cat eyes. Naoya definitely cat coded for sure. As he looks. This line here, he must be real depressed. You think? You think? I mean, what's so wild to me is that Naoya seems to have this like affinity towards Toji for being able to have all this strength despite having no cursed energy. And you wonder if there's a shred of Naoya that was kind of envious of the fact that Toji left the clan and went off to be on his own and do his own thing. And Naoya is relegated to taking on the family name. He doesn't have much of a choice. So he kind of instead develops a pride for it and is like, well, then I'm going to be the clan head and I get everything, you know, since he can't do what Toji did and run away. So there could be those feelings there. The messed up part is that he seems to revere Toji in a sense. But then with Maki, he absolutely thinks she's filth. And I'm like, they're kind of the same boat. And he doesn't view that at all. That misogyny kicks in. He must be real depressed. I like we got just a glance of him walking down. It looks like his arm has been broken. Or that, yeah, his arm is in a sling. Or maybe he's just having his arm in his like sleeves. And he's just... Maybe they weren't broken to begin with. Okay, and Naoya there doesn't have his hair dyed. It's black. I wonder what kind of pathetic look he's got. And then he saw the look, though, of just how dead-eyed he was. And maybe Naoya not being satisfied once he got to the top, he sort of related to Toji a little bit. It's a shame he couldn't open up and get to know his cousin better, because she kind of was going through a similar feeling. Also, this makes me feel a lot happier that Toji got away from the clan and met Mama Fushiguro. Glad he met her. Glad he was happy for once. Wish we could have seen more of that. Also makes sense why he did not want Megumi to go back to the Zen'in clan. Because he knew what assholes they all were. And he was like, no, Gojo, you're the guy that murdered me, and I want you to take my kid, because at least you seem like you have a good head on your shoulder. The facts. Insane. But yeah, Megumi walking by. Also, that gives to me the idea that Megumi can be kind of depressed like Toji as well, except when he's with the love of his life, who I don't know is Yuji Itadori, apparently. Apparently. Also, I guess, along with the speedrun thing, we just immediately dove into Maki versus Naoya, and there was a part of me that, because Naoya has so many, like, quirks and one-liners, and he's such a jerk that I want to see more of it. But yeah, so this is all prefaced of why she can avoid his attack. She is keeping track. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 3, 4, 5, 9, 10, 11. Keeping track of his movements. Yep. As they go. And he's like, you. And then he grabs her as he tries to use his, like, 24 frames per second. And busts through. That's so good. Busts through the glass. I got worried thinking that Maki was going to get really hurt by this. Oh, I want to go back to that shot of Toji. Go back to that shot of Toji. Yep. He's like, you. And he's like, you're not him. Oh, why did it cut through that? Oh, I really like, yeah, that shot of Toji. Do I think that there's a chance we'll see a shot of Megumi looking like that in this series with how Gege is? I do. Do I want to see Megumi ever look like that? No, not at all. But it's Gege. So yeah, so then we got this fight with the two of them. You're not Toji-kun. That's so crazy. That's so wild that Naoya, who thinks that people who don't have cursed energy are trash, for whatever reason, Toji was the one guy he admired despite it all, and he's pissed that Maki is trying to pass herself off like Toji. And the thing is, she really isn't. She doesn't know much about Toji, but they're all just like projecting. The sin of the insignificant is the ignorance of strength. And he's like, no one was able to understand Toji-kun except for maybe Gojo? What? Now he's out here shipping Gojo and Toji together like parts of AO3. Wild times. Obviously he's referring to the fact that Gojo could compare in strength to Toji, and by killing Toji, he understood him. I'm just floored. I'm floored. The ships are creating themselves today and destroying themselves in real time. Also, I just love the 24 frames per second. He's like, you ain't the one. As he keeps fighting. There's so many good shots. The one to stand among them is me. That's kind of my... Here's my other critique. My third critique is we get this setup. We get this setup with Naoya. Where Naoya is... I'm going to bring it over here so it's easier to see. But Naoya compares. He compares and puts himself in the same league as Gojo and Toji. He's like, well, they're the strongest, so I'm part of the same league as them. Which checks, I mean, is it slightly delusional? Yes. Yes. Choso is able to get the drop on Naoya. Do you think Choso could get the drop on Toji or Gojo? No, absolutely not. But Naoya is somewhat delusional, thinking that he's in the same boat as Gojo and Toji, and that's an aspiration. So one of my critiques is, if Naoya is actually dead, which we're going to talk about, if he's actually dead, then that feels like such a waste. I feel like, especially because Gojo's still alive and in prison, he's a man in the box. Like, I feel like there's such an opportunity for Naoya to, like, interact with Gojo, even though we all know how that would probably end. But if he's dead, that just feels like a waste. And for that to be revealed, he's like, well, I'm the one that's going to stand amongst them. But again, maybe it's Gege just being like, I'm not wasting your time. I don't know. The animation in this shot was really good. Again, I'm not a big fan of that, but this part here is like, projection sorcery cannot be used to create movements. And you're like, this is bad. Uh-huh. So it's excessively ignores physics and trajectories. 6, 7, 8, 13, 14. Yeah. Again, likewise, there's a limit to how much acceleration can be added up to one speed upon activation. Conversely, the longer the technique is continuously activated, the further one can raise their speed. Yeah, the one to stand among them is me. Like, Naoya just keeps it going, but she's timing it. The animation here is really good. I love it. Uh-huh. I mean, look, I guess the thing, too, is that as he's... I love they call him pillow hands. That all makes sense now. The pillow hands. Not doing nothing to Maki. I mean, if Maki... I agree. I can see some people in the comments being like, well, but how could she fight back against him if she'd never had accessed or experienced his technique before? But here's my thing. Even if she hasn't experienced that technique, she's been beaten up by this guy before. So she's probably seen his technique in action. She probably knows a little bit about it, whatever. And then she's like, I'm not going to stop now. I won't screw up like I did back then. Force is weight times speed. Gege, of course, getting into his physics. You know he would. Yeah, I just love it. Yeah. Crazy. And then the palm. Just, I love all the shots that's so still and quiet. And then Maki just, yeah, she wants to fight head on. Now, yeah, my dude, I'll give you a hug. What is she, Alucard from Hellsinger Bridge? Give me a hug. I'll punch through her at top speed. No! Don't think so. I don't think you're gonna get that. That shot right there, my only complaint animation-wise is this shot right here of this. Like, you can tell that this part is about to bust open in the animation. It made me think of Sonic 3D Blast, where, like, you busted through to get to the next zone, which is a callback. But, yeah. So he gets to her. If they fail. Okay, but here's the thing. Okay, we're gonna go back to that. Whilst projection sorcery is active, anything the user touches with their palm, all this, yeah, must create a movement within 1/24th of a second, which is the 24 frames per second. Yep. And then she says if they fail, they're frozen for 1 second. Yep. So here we go. And so then we have this, like, him touching her, right? Isn't that true? Isn't that what just happens? She was probably planning to take my attack and stop my movement, even if it broke her ribs. Like I'd fall for such obvious bait. You really are an imposter. But then, no. Oh, she waited for that exact moment to time the 24th moment where he'd show up. Oh, she was prepared for when he'd show up right at that moment to get him. Oh. Yep. That 24 times, right? Oh. So she took all those hits. She let all that happen so she could time it. So she could time it down to the moment where he got in front of her and she's like, this is the 24 point, right? Yep. You and old man Nobito aren't just fast. There's something off to it. And the other thing is, that kind of does explain it. She's been around Nobito, so she's seen the move in action, so she was able to track it. Okay. Yep. You were creating 24 motions per second. I can finally see it after obtaining this body. Damn, just OP Maki. OP Maki, my friends. And he's like, oh my god. All the times he's called her ugly and made fun of her appearance and called her an imposter. Yeah, no, oh. That's just damn. The bones cracking in that is wild. Here's the thing. The fact that he even got up from that and walked back to the house, the fact that even happened is insane. And I'm like, what is this boy, if he's able to do that, like if he's able to walk up from that back to the house, a stab in the back, I don't think it's killing him. That's my theory. We're going to talk about it here in a second, but yeah. Damn. So she goes back to find her mom. This house is just blood. The mom's hidden herself, like the stuff's boiling over. She finds the mom, and she's like, stay back. And she's like, listen, please. Yeah, like, no, after all this. Why did you tell me to come back? Here's the thing. That's the moment. She's like, if you were trying to protect me from the vault and you're trying to keep me safe and you cared, why'd you ask me to come back? Because you knew what was going to happen and what was going to happen to Mai. Yep. Roughsville indeed. So then, yeah, Naoya made it back somehow against all odds. And him just like, he's like, stupid bitch failed to end me. Yeah, you know what? The idea that this man that has been just absolutely against women ends up getting stabbed in the back while his cursed energy can't protect him from a woman, from the mom of the woman that just kicked his ass, seems somewhat justice. Seems somewhat of a justice. Yeah. I don't know what he's crawling towards. And yeah, everybody else in that is just, the rest of the clan's dead, so why not him? And he's like, are you shitting me? I know, right? Look, this is not the angle. When I see Naoya in this angle, having Maki's mom stabbing above him was not what I was expecting. I can't focus my cursed energy. Damn gutter trash. She's like, bye. So in the end, it's like, when she says, I'm glad I gave birth to you. What a twisted way. Where the mom was basically like, okay, my daughters are all fused back together and now she's destroyed the clan. Guess I'll help end it all, make sure Naoya doesn't get back. And so Maki took her sister's body out of there. I hate it. And then Mai-chan. Freaking Momo! Gege, quit! Quit giving us confirmed Yuri when the one person's dead. Stop it! Or not even Yuri. Quit giving us confirmed relationships when one or both partners are dead. First it was Gojo and Geto. Then it was Mekamaru and Miwa. Now it's Momo and Mai. Quit it! And Gege's like, I'm not. Gege's literally that white cat in the meme where I'm just like, stop killing partners of... Stop making pairs canon by killing them. And Gege's like, never. Stop it. Ugh. But yeah, it's so sad. And then Maki's like, she's like, what are you going to do now, Maki-chan? And then then we cut to this. It says the 6 members of the Hei, the 9 members of the Akashi, and the 21 members of the Kukuru unit who were absent from the Zen'in clan's home that day all met untimely deaths. So she just went and found them all. Killed all the clan. So Maki, Mai's MVP of maybe the whole series, these crazy Zen'ins, Maki killed all the clan. Okay. Got that. Then what happened? Then from there, she killed all the clan members in that moment. Dear God, at present, no residuals have been detected. So here's the thing. Autopsies revealed faint traces of cursed energy in the corpse's wounds that are believed to come from the cursed tool used as the murder weapon. So is Naoya just dead? What? I was convinced he was gonna stick around. Here's the thing, though. There was a sorcerer that brought back Toji from the dead. So is there the possibility that Naoya will be brought back as a zombie Naoya? Maybe. Maybe they could do a sacrificial thing and bring Naoya back. I mean, what if I'm just not ready for Naoya to be gone. Like, he's such a piece of shit and I hate him, but I was just really getting to like making fun of him and now he's not going to be here anymore. What? So, I mean, what if Brain Coon takes over Naoya's body? He probably wouldn't. That would not be, it's not worthy enough for Brain Coon. But what if somebody revives Naoya? I don't know. They revived Toji, so anything's up for grabs. Or maybe he's just dead and that's the end of it. I mean, we'll talk about it here in a hot second. Several days later, both the Gojo clan and the Kamo clan motioned for headquarters to remove the Zen'in clan from the 3 big families, and headquarters has tabled this motion. They're like, we're not ready to do that yet. Maybe when we're done with this whole culling game thing, we'll come back to that. Gojo and Kamo clan were like, enough of that shit. They're crazy. Insane. Hey, it's Editing Romania, and I am recording this the next day because I realized two things that I wanted to talk about, and somehow in the 2 hours of talking about this episode, I didn't talk about it. So I'm just inserting this here before the conclusion. But one, realized in editing that Maki does not need her glasses anymore because she's fused with Mai, who has her sight. And the sight was to see cursed spirits and things, so Maki doesn't need glasses anymore. So good for her. Glad she avoided LASIK. So glad that worked out. It was basically the jujutsu equivalent of it, is absorbing your identical twin. Glad to know that that's all we needed to happen. And the other thing is, I was sitting here being like, this would have been, I think it was back during my critique of, I thought this episode would come later, and I realized why in my brain I thought it should come later. Because the culling game is going on, but Maki is not a participant of the culling game at this moment. So she just killed 1, 2, 3, 4 jujutsu sorcerers. 5, counting her father. 5 jujutsu sorcerers. Does Mai count? Does Mai count since she's dead? We're not going to count Mai, but that was 25 points that is not up for grabs anymore. And like what 40 non-sorcerers that are just trained guards. So that was potentially like 60 so points that we could have used in the culling game towards getting a rule made that we just don't have anymore. Anyway, yeah, so there's that. And now we're gonna go back to our regularly scheduled program. Just wanted to throw that out there before diving back. So we don't know exactly what's gonna happen to Zen'ins at this point. And then yeah, Maki's walking away. Damn. Wild. And that's the episode. And oh my God, I've talked for 2 hours. I was like, my throat's starting to feel a little scratchy because I've talked for 2 hours straight. That's why. Oh my God. Holy shit. I hope that was entertaining for you all. If you're still here, dear God. My main criticism is like the speedrunning thing is metaphorical. I like what Gege does with it. I'm torn on some senses because on the one hand, I'm like, damn, it's kind of cool that somebody who's a big old turd meets his demise in the actual episode and it actually happens. I'm like, go Gege, thanks for being progressive. Thanks for doing us ladies a solid. Nicely done. But on the other hand, I'm kind of like, without Naoya, I had all these expectations of what a nuisance Naoya would be, what a hurdle Naoya would be, what antics Naoya could create chaos around. I had all these scenarios, and now that Maki's just kind of taking care of them, I'm like, what else is Maki gonna do? I guess maybe go find the tools. We need the tools. Maybe go do that. But I'm like, is Maki just gonna be our big Deus Ex Machina, like Yuta walking around? What do we do with that? And I just like, well, where's the conflict coming from, Gege? I mean, we got Takaba to go, but what else does Gege have planned? He clearly has things planned. Now I'm nervous, y'all. Gege again. I told y'all in episode 1, in episode 2, Gege's giving me everything that I want, and I'm like, okay, Gege, you're giving me all the things I want, but I know you're going to ask for a cost at some point. What's the cost of getting all these cool badass things happening? What are you going to ask for in return, Gege? I don't want that. So, I'm going to go make some tea, put some honey in that tea, get all this good for the weekend so I can record some other reactions because I've talked for 2 hours straight and it's been wild, but the headphone warnings were valid this episode, for the record. I'm so excited to hear your comments down below. I hope you enjoyed my meanderings. What the fudge, Gege? Jujutsu Kaisen Season 3 has not come to play, and I'm nervous as hell. I thought this episode was going to be chill, y'all. I thought this was going to be a chill episode! There is no chill. The chill does not exist. The limit does not exist. So let's get into it for next week. So I'll be back next week with episode 5. Holy cow. I'm going to go and get some tea and honey, and I hope you all enjoyed this. Stay safe. Take care. Holy cow. I'll see y'all real soon with more Jujutsu Kaisen. Bye.